Tonight, a major cabinet shuffle sets the stage for a political showdown.
This is a moment where putting forward the strongest possible team.
The one minister who's responsible for these failures didn't get moved, and that minister is Justin Trudeau.
The promotions, demotions, and at issue on why the stakes are so high. Remembering a powerful voice that would not be silenced.
Nothing compares.
The life and legacy of Sinéad O'Connor. And this is your body on heat.
That's what we're dealing with right now. Gonna be running in this.
A first-hand look at what soaring temperatures really do to us.
This is The National with Juanita Taylor.
Adrian is away. We begin tonight with a major shift in the makeup of the federal government as Justin Trudeau drastically shuffles his cabinet. At the start of the day, this is what the Liberal cabinet looked like. Now, just 8 of those ministers have maintained their portfolios. 23 have been assigned new roles, and 7 have been turfed altogether, sent to the backbench and replaced by rookie ministers. Rafi Buchakanian now with who's in, who's out, and why the Prime Minister is making such substantial changes.
Behind the emotion of the new faces in cabinet,
Mabuhay, I, Richie Valdez, do swear that I will be faithful.
the reality of a Prime Minister slipping in opinion polls, looking to turn the tide ahead of the next election.
This is a moment where putting forward the strongest possible team with fresh energy and a range of skills that are going to be able to continue the really important work.
Out with the old, 7 of them, including Marco Mendicino, booted from public safety after months of criticism for failed gun legislation and his office's handling of Paul Bernardo's transfer. His replacement, longtime Minister Dominic LeBlanc, not the only veteran changing roles. Bill Blair takes on defense, and Sean Fraser, housing, a file the opposition has hammered the Liberals on for months.
People need housing, whether they've been here for a dozen generations or they got here last month. The answer is, at least in part, to continue to build more stock.
And among those just arriving to cabinet, one position tailor-made to address complaints in services to Canadians.
This is really where the rubber hits the road in providing services to citizens right across the country, such as passports. There are some things, dental care was included in there.
As the Liberals try to chart a new course, the official opposition said the makeover is not extreme enough.
The one minister who's responsible for these failures didn't get moved, and that minister is Justin Trudeau.
Despite the overall, the new cabinet maintains gender parity and voices from across the country. The Prime Minister's office no doubt doing more math as it figures out timing for the next election. Rafi Buchakanian, CBC News, Ottawa.
Well, let's bring in Chief Political Correspondent Rosemary Barton. Rosie, this is a significant overhaul, but what has to happen next?
Juanita, as you heard from Rafi, this is obviously an attempt to reset the government, re-energize the government's agenda after what has been a difficult 6 months or so when the government messaging wasn't getting through, largely because of those questions around foreign interference. The size of what we saw today is really a tacit admission, I think, that some things weren't working. While many of the faces have changed, what the government needs to demonstrate to Canadians now is that its approach has also changed, that it can connect with them on issues that matter, affordability, housing, and even that new department meant to deal with citizen services or things that aren't working. These are also issues, remember, where the Conservatives have been successfully applying pressure. The government has been vulnerable. And I think there's a question here too, Juanita, about whether a cabinet shuffle is enough to rebrand a government that's been around for almost 8 years, particularly given that the leader remains the same. That's exactly what we're going to tackle in just a few minutes when we get to At Issue.
All right, thanks, Rosie. You'll be back with Andrew, Chantal, and Althea. They're all standing by for that special summer edition of At Issue. Well, tributes are pouring in tonight for Sinéad O'Connor. Her family confirms the Irish singer has died. Val Puri shows us how she's being remembered, not just for her haunting vocals, but for her mix of tenacity and vulnerability.
Things I just became famous
brash, distinctive, outspoken, Sinéad O'Connor permanently altered the image of women in rock. In 1990, O'Connor's version of Prince's Nothing Compares to You made her the first female artist to win MTV Video of the Year. It also garnered her a Grammy. Through the fame, she never shied from her political beliefs. In 1992, on Saturday Night Live, she tore up a photo of Pope John Paul II in protest of the Catholic Church.
Fight the real enemy.
I don't think anyone could look at that and not think that made a huge impact on music and how musicians choose to present themselves.
She had such a profound impact that I don't think she was aware of because of her life and her brain chemistry.
After the news of O'Connor's death, musicians and others posted on social media. Boy George wrote, "Up the Irish." Melissa Etheridge, "She was haunted all of her life." Jamie Lee Curtis, "Sinead's life, grim, shattering, glorious, and triumphant."
She has struggled in her personal life for many, many years. She grew up in an abused family. She was sent away to a home for unruly women in Ireland when she was a teenager. And she was always very outspoken about everything.
O'Connor was also open about her mental health struggles.
I got very suicidal, which I can laugh about now because it's funny. It wasn't funny at the time.
Last year, tragedy when O'Connor's son took his own life at 17. Despite the hardships, the singer managed a career of 10 solo albums. 3 years ago, in her last Canadian concert, she played Vancouver before the pandemic shut down the world.
She said she was feeling a little bit nervous about it all. It was the first night of the tour, but she was surrounded by so much love.
It's been 7 hours.
In a statement, the singer's family said, "It is with great sadness that we announce the passing of our beloved Sinead." O'Connor was 56. Belle Puri, CBC News, Vancouver.
To the Mediterranean now, where wildfires are raging across multiple countries. In Greece, the entire island of Rhodes is under a state of emergency. More than 20,000 people have been forced to evacuate. Some locals are working with fire crews to contain the flames, but the scale and scope of the situation is taking a toll.
We can't stop. We can't make anything about this. We fight. Everybody, all the people, they fight. The simple people, the government, they ask everybody, but for nothing. I believe we fight for nothing.
Across the region, at least 40 people have been killed, and there's no reprieve in sight as they continue to deal with a prolonged heat wave.
I start to see flames, you guys. Please, everybody out of the chuku right now.
Here at home, a wildfire in the Northwest Territories has forced emergency crews to pull back for their safety. So far, at least 3 homes have been destroyed in Betchocon, and a large stretch of highway has been shut down. Officials say strong wind has helped the fire grow at an extraordinary pace. The search continues tonight in Nova Scotia for a youth who went missing during the devastating floods over the weekend. We are also learning more about a dramatic rescue from that night. Shayna Lucknow with the story of a woman who barely escaped disaster.
The floodwaters around Kim Gillingham's house rose so fast she knew she had to get out.
There was 3 feet of water in front of my house and flowing so much force that you couldn't stand up in it.
That's when Logan Hope, a local volunteer firefighter, tethered himself to a rope and went into the raging water to get her.
Definitely the hardest thing I've ever done in my life.
So then he grabbed me and we went out the house and we fell. And then we both stood up and then we were just swept away, just like.
The pair tried to wade through debris to safety.
There was trees, there was rocks, there was wood piles floating by us, going down with us.
That debris hit Gillingham's leg, fracturing it.
I lost my engagement ring off my fingers, my shoes, my clothes. Yeah, it was quite a time. Horrific.
I dug my feet into the ground as much as I could, and I felt the strain of my tether on my back, so I knew that I was going to be okay.
It took every firefighter on the crew to haul the pair in.
We made a little bit of a human chain, and he grabbed a hold of me, and I grabbed a hold of Dwayne. Dwayne had a hold of Logan, and Logan had a hold of our female, and we brought everyone into safety. So
there were about 100 other rescues that day. And looking back now, both Hope and Gillingham understand how important trust was in those moments.
Like, I know I had her life in my hands, but I had my crew had my life in their hands.
Oh, I would be dead. There's no doubt. There was cars going down. I couldn't stand up to anything like that. No. It was just unreal.
This is all that's left of the home Gillingham escaped that night. She's lost almost everything, but she's alive, and she credits that to Logan Hope. Shayna Luck, CBC News, Brooklyn, Nova Scotia.
Several firefighters are among the injured after a construction crane partially collapsed in New York this morning. As you're about to see, all of it was caught on video. Oh. The crane was holding 16 tons of concrete when the boom snapped, struck a neighboring building, and crashed to the street 45 stories below. Officials say it was weakened by a fire in the engine room.
That crane operator saw that the fire started and tried to extinguish it. So we give a lot of credit to the crane operator.
That operator was able to get out safely as responders rushed to the scene. At least 10 people, including 2 firefighters, suffered non-life-threatening injuries. Officials say the remaining portion of the crane has been inspected and is not in danger of collapse. And at least one person is dead after a fire broke out on a cargo ship off the Dutch coast. Some of the crew had to jump overboard to escape the flames. Officials say an electric car may have caused the fire. The ship was carrying nearly 3,000 vehicles. The U.S. president's son remains in legal turmoil tonight. Hunter Biden was supposed to enter a plea deal that would have allowed him to avoid jail time for tax and gun charges. But as Katie Simpson tells us, that deal has now fallen apart.
What was to be a straightforward court appearance for Hunter Biden unraveled once the judge asked questions about the scope of the president's son's plea deal.
This seems to have been just some sort of massive communication breakdown.
Biden's lawyers thought it would shield him from future charges. When prosecutors said no, Team Biden called off the agreement. The president's son instead entered a not guilty plea on 2 tax crimes and a gun charge. While his lawyers tried to salvage a deal in the weeks ahead, the White House called the ongoing drama a family matter.
The president, the first lady, they love their son and they support him as he continues to rebuild his life.
But the longer this drags on, the more Republicans can use it to attack the president.
Hunter Biden is getting a sweetheart deal that no other American who wasn't rich and had a father as the president would ever get, ever.
Those concerns have been shared by federal tax investigators invited to Congress to air their concerns.
There should not be a 2-track justice system depending on who you are and who you're connected to.
All of it is now part of a much wider investigation by Republicans in Congress, examining Hunter Biden's business dealings, looking for evidence of criminal conduct and anything that can be linked to his father.
I'm investigating Joe Biden. We've always investigated Joe Biden. I know the media calls it the Hunter Biden investigation, but it's the Joe Biden investigation.
Both the White House and Department of Justice have said Hunter Biden did not get preferential treatment. That has not satisfied Republicans who are using Hunter Biden's problems as an election campaign issue. And if they face any roadblocks in their congressional investigations, Speaker Kevin McCarthy is threatening impeachment. Katie Simpson, CBC News, Washington.
Republican Senator Mitch McConnell says he is fine tonight after an alarming episode earlier today at a podium.
This week has been good bipartisan cooperation and a string of
The Senate Minority Leader froze mid-sentence and stood silent for about 20 seconds. A colleague who used to work as a physician then led him out of the room. McConnell returned minutes later and said he had felt lightheaded for a moment. The 81-year-old was hospitalized with a concussion back in March. An acquittal tonight for actor Kevin Spacey. After a 4-week trial, a jury in London has found him not guilty of 9 sexual offense charges. Tiana Sumanek-Johnson takes us through the verdict and the reaction.
In that familiar voice, the one you now only hear in reruns, Kevin Spacey delivered an emotional speech after a London jury found him not guilty of 9 sexual offense charges.
I would like to say that I'm enormously grateful to the jury for having taken the time to examine all of the evidence and all of the facts carefully before they reached their decision. And I am humbled by the outcome today.
4 different men accused Spacey of unwanted sexual acts. The prosecution described him as a sexual bully who preyed on younger, powerless men. Spacey countered he was a big flirt who had consensual relationships.
If proof beyond a reasonable doubt still continues to be a thing in this day and age, and Twitter allegations and anti-social media allegations aren't what determine a verdict, I thought the jury came to a very sensible conclusion.
Unlike most other powerful Hollywood figures accused of sexual misconduct, Spacey's accusers were men. In year 2020, U.S. actor Anthony Rapp alleged Spacey had made sexual advances towards him when Rapp was just 14. In a civil lawsuit, Spacey was found not liable.
I think that there's a tendency of people not to believe that men, especially gay men, can be sexually assaulted. And this is just one more proof of it.
This lawyer, who has worked with victims of sexual assault, says the new verdict could deter men from coming forward with accusations.
You've got a situation here where how many men now, 10, something of that nature, weren't believed. So yes, it's going to have a very chilling effect.
The impact of the verdict on Kevin Spacey's career is still unclear. In a recent interview with a German magazine, he said there were people lining up to hire him if only he were acquitted. Deanna Sumanak-Johnson, CBC News, Toronto.
In Niger tonight, there are fears of a coup. A group of soldiers say the president has been removed from power. Supporters of the president were seen running after presidential guards fired warning shots to disperse them. In a televised address, the soldiers also declared a nationwide curfew and the closure of the country's borders. It came hours after reports the president was detained inside his residence. African Union leaders and the UN have swiftly condemned the move. Human rights groups are alarmed over the ramped-up presence of Iran's morality police. They are once again enforcing the country's strict hijab laws in the lead-up to the anniversary of a death that triggered massive protests. Ithel Musa looks at the significance of the timing.
Human rights activists say this video shows a woman trying to get away from Iran's so-called morality police. CBC News has not independently verified it, but Iranian authorities have announced a new campaign to force women to wear a headscarf in public. Police say women who refuse will be warned, and if they disobey, legal action will be taken.
It's a desperate attempt by the Iranian authorities to reassert their power and dominance over courageous women who've been standing up for their human rights since the Women Life Freedom Uprising last year.
That uprising began after the death of Mahsa Amini. The 22-year-old Kurdish woman died last September after being arrested for allegedly wearing her hijab improperly. Global protests against Iran's government were led by Iranian women.
Women and girls were on the forefront of this revolutionary uprising for equality and human rights.
Iran's morality police became less visible on the streets, but human rights group Amnesty International says they're back. Now they're said to be surveilling women using facial recognition technology and enforcing cruel punishments. Companies are being targeted as well. According to local media, an office of Iran's biggest e-commerce company was closed after it published photos online of female employees without headscarves.
The regime will stop at nothing to control the women and girls of Iran. The regime is even willing to suffocate its own local startup companies to that end.
Human rights groups say hundreds have been killed by Iran's security forces since the beginning of the uprising, as the country ramps up police patrols, hoping to quell more protests on the one-year anniversary of Amini's death in September. Ithel Musa, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, Canada is one step closer to a World Cup after a stunning win against Ireland. How the women's team rallied in the second half to come out on top.
It's an incredible feeling, to score, my first goal in a World Cup.
In the pool, 2 Canadian divers make a splash.
The first ever medals for Canada in high diving.
And the effects of extreme heat. We test how our bodies react.
That's the biggest risk of these cardiovascular events, these heart attacks.
We're back in 2. Triumph for Canada today at the Women's World Cup. A crucial 2-1 victory over Ireland increases their chance to advance to the next round. Lindsay Duncombe was in Perth for the big night, where off-field issues are still a concern.
Irish fans, thousands of them, brought the traditions and the noise of a soccer-mad country.
We're feeling very excited and very confident that our girls will go out and beat Canada tonight.
Lots of pressure, lots of energy.
Yeah.
We're going to do them tonight.
And Katie McCabe gave those fans something to cheer about. A remarkable goal direct from the corner. In the driving rain, Canada struggled. An own goal by Ireland evened the score.
I think at the beginning of the game they were outplaying us in every part of the game, so I think it was good that the team was able to respond and kind of take that under our chin and step up.
Did they ever? Subbing in after the half, the experience of veterans Christine Sinclair and Sophie Schmidt. A perfect pass from Schmidt to Adriana Leon put Canada ahead, and they stayed there.
It's an incredible feeling, to score, my first goal in a World Cup. It was a great feeling, and hopefully many more to come.
Again, though, the women's play accompanied by controversy over pay. In a letter, the national men's team accused Canada Soccer of attempting to capitalize on the pressure of the Women's World Cup to force an inadequate deal in the ongoing labor dispute with both teams.
Our men's team will do what they do, and we'll finish up this tournament and get back to that political stuff. But right now, we're just here to enjoy the World Cup.
Certainly, that's what Canada's fans are doing.
We were so outnumbered by the Irish fans, but we pulled through.
Lindsay, seems like a great atmosphere. What's next for the Canadian team?
Well, we need to whisk the draw, and now the win. Canada's chances of going to the knockout round have increased. We do have some concerning news, though. Captain Christine Sinclair was limping at the end of the match with Ireland. She is being assessed for an injury.
All right, thank you, Lindsay. That's Lindsay Duncombe in Perth, Australia. A pioneer in both Canadian politics and journalism has died. Pat Carney served in cabinet for the Mulroney Conservatives in the 1980s. She was the first woman MP from BC and the first woman to hold key portfolios, including trade and energy. As a journalist, she started her career in the 60s, eventually becoming the first female business columnist for a major Canadian newspaper. Carney passed away Tuesday. She was 88 years old. Another heat wave is hitting parts of Canada, but what's the real risk of exposure?
Woo! It's definitely hot.
Our Lauren Pelly puts her body to the test and gets the results.
You have so much heat built up in you that you are really cooking yourself.
But first, Trudeau touts the new faces in cabinet.
I'm really excited about the work we're doing.
Will it be enough? Rosie and the At Issue panel are here for a special edition. The National takes you deeper into the stories shaping our world next.
Hi there, I'm Rosemary Barton. Here's what's at issue for a special Cabinet Shuffle edition.
In perhaps the most significant overhaul to his cabinet since 2015, Justin Trudeau has brought 7 new faces to the table and moved more than a dozen ministers into new roles in hopes of bringing new energy to a government now heading into its 8th year.
This is a moment where putting forward the strongest possible team with fresh energy and a range of skills that are going to be able to continue the really important work of showing Canadians the positive and ambitious vision for the future that we're so committed to and that I know Canadians need and deserve. I'm really excited about the work we're doing, and quite frankly, we have a huge team in caucus and across the country working really hard to deliver for Canadians in all sorts of great ways.
So what do these changes tell us about the state of the Liberal government? Is today enough to reset it and respond to the many criticisms from the opposition? We've convened a special summer edition of At Issue. Let's bring everybody in. Chantal Hébert, Andrew Coyne, and Althea Raj. First of all, thank you all for being here in July. I promised I wouldn't call, and yet here I am. Let me get sort of your big takeaway on what today was about, or whether you understand what today was about. Chantal, what do you think the government was trying to accomplish, and did it manage to do that today?
I'm guessing that it was trying to send a message that it still had this demeanor to be a government that meets challenges. But the only thing that makes this shuffle really significant is the fact that it involves so many people. And in the end, it defeats the purpose, because it kind of sends the message that if you need to replace so many people, maybe something was wrong with the previous cabinet, which means that Prime Minister Trudeau spent most of his press conference trying to address the issue, that he wasn't fixing a really big number of problems. I'm guessing that was not the goal. But if you're looking for something that signals change, a wow factor, and I'm not dissing the people who are coming into cabinet, I think this misses the mark big time.
How about you, Andrew?
Well, they had several things they wanted to accomplish with this. One was to cut out ministers who had become liabilities to the government, who were handling files like housing, like public safety, like transportation, where they were not only not helping the government's case, they were hurting it, that they had to go. Secondly, they wanted to promote some people who were better communicators, people like Sean Fraser, people like Mark Miller, and bring them along. Thirdly, I think they wanted to try to shore up an image of competence, which has been badly damaged by some of these files. So moving people like Anita Anand into Treasury Board, or Jean-Yves Duclos into procurement, I think those are steady hands. That I think that was supposed to protect. But all in all, what you're essentially doing is saying the problems of the government are just about messaging and communications, and not really about substantive direction. And when you look at where they're at in the polls, and that most recent Abacus poll is just damning for them, I think they've got much more fundamental problems than just that.
Okay, I'll come back to that, but Althea, give me your view on whether the government accomplished what it wanted to today.
Well, it's too early to tell. Right now, it could be cosmetic, or it could be really meaningful change. I agree with the reasons that Andrew outlined. I'm just not sure that the changes that they made actually accomplished the goals that they told us, or at least whispered in our ears, or government sources speaking anonymously told us just a month ago accomplished. You know, on the one hand, they say they want really strong communicators, and now they have promoted people like Harjit Sajjan or even Seamus O'Regan that are not strong communicators. They want a generational change, and now they have Bill Blair at National Defense. They wanted change, a fresher team, the team that was going to bring them a fourth mandate, a revamped Justin Trudeau 2.0. And yet most of the key senior ministers are still the same people that have been there for years and years and years. So is it cosmetic, or is it meaningful? And all the things that the Prime Minister said he wanted to accomplish, that vision starts with him. So, you know, unless he does his job clearly, you know, the ministers may not be able to implement on that vision.
Chantal, you went in. Go ahead.
Well, I guess the question you ask yourself at this point is this cabinet shuffle a game changer? And if it is it in a positive sense for the government? And I think the answer would be no to both questions. There is nothing here, we're not discussing here about someone new and a key portfolio that will do something that will be impressive or will make the government speech stick to its actual realizations. You're basically keeping, and maybe that's fine. You're keeping the same people in the senior positions. But if you're doing that, why in the world are you playing this game of musical chair? And I would argue that for most people who do not follow politics every day, or even for those who do, most of the people who got dumped and most of the people who were brought in are totally unknown.
Yeah, there seemed to be a desire, Andrew, to shift the government to the economy, to talk about it more, affordability, housing, Sean Fraser, that makes sense. But the key economic portfolios, with the exception of Anita Anand, remain with the same people. So I'm not sure I see how that's going to play out in real time.
Well, I agree with that it's not just it's the same people, it's the same basic approach. So until we see evidence that the government is going to change its approach, come back to this Abacus poll. The headline was they're 10 points behind the Tories. Well, that's a little worse than some other polls, but not, that could be overcome. But when you start drilling into what are the issues that are most on people's minds, it's health, it's inflation, it's the economy. And on all these issues for people who say those are their top issues, the government trails badly. They're in third on health. They're in third, I believe, on housing. They're in second on the economy, but they're 31 points behind the Conservatives. So if the economy is top of mind for you as a voter, the Liberals are in a lot of trouble. And just having better messaging, but the same messengers is not going to change that.
Althea?
Well, I think we need to talk about two different things. So one is, yes, ministers doing their job, and it's a little bit too early to know how they're going to do. But the other thing is about political ministers playing a bigger part. And there, I think Sean Fraser being the key minister in Nova Scotia, and basically in Atlantic Canada and taking more of a role is interesting to see. Terry Beach out in British Columbia, perhaps he's going to be the Liberals' bright new light in 2025 and beyond. So I think there's more layers to the shuffle. On the economic stuff that Andrew was pointing out, I see that through a leadership lens. I think Anita Anand wanted an economic portfolio, and she got Treasury Board, which I'm not sure is a blessing because it's a very internally focused department, not a lot of public facing communications, and when it is, it's usually bad news. And then is she going to be the one making cuts? Is she going to be the minister of austerity? I don't know that was a good move for her. Jean-Yves Duclos was trying to pitch his change. He's going to procurement as an economic promotion as well. That's a big economic portfolio. But again, that it's the same. It's still the same. It's like cosmetically at the fringes, we have all these, how to say it, like, how to say it to be politically correct, people who come from ethnic communities who might be good fundraisers in those communities have now made it into cabinet, for the exception that we are losing two Italian cabinet ministers who are quite important. But they... Is that it? Like, the narrative of the shuffle is not clear to me.
Chantal.
So every time I've covered a third-term government, that didn't happen very often, or one that was on the way out, sometimes second term, and people like us were looking for meaning in that big cabinet shuffle that was a reset. It didn't end well. I'll just leave it there.
And Andrew, I'll end with you then. Can a cabinet shuffle bring the change that the government needs when it's facing an issue of fatigue?
It could if ministers mattered more, but in Canada, ministers don't matter that much, cabinets don't matter that much. So they're mostly just symbolism and messaging type of devices rather than signaling substantive change. If they want to show change in a policy and change in approach, that's going to have to come from the center, and that's going to require something like a throne speech to really signal that they really get the need to reset policy, but we haven't heard them doing that yet.
Althea on that as well. Can it do what it's supposed to do here, reset the government?
It could. I'm just not sure that this is the cabinet shuffle to do that.
Okay, we'll leave it there. Thank you again for interrupting your myriad summer activities for me in July. I'll promise to try and not call before September. Thank you all so much. Chantal Hébert, Andrew Coyne, and Althea Raj. And with that, I'll send things back to Juanita in Toronto.
Thanks, Rosie. Coming up, diving into the history books. Canadians land on the podium, and for one, a final hurrah. There are some people in Toronto trying to cool off amid a heat warning for much of central and southwestern Ontario. Temperatures as high as 33 degrees Celsius are in the forecast for the rest of the week, and there's far more at stake than just comfort. Those high temperatures can quickly put your body under stress and your health at risk. Lauren Pelly agreed to be a test subject at a research facility that measures the hazard of high heat.
Extreme heat is uncomfortable and incredibly dangerous for your body. We're checking out a university lab to find out why.
There's lots of ways that heat can become a danger.
Stephen Chung leads a research team here at Brock University, and I'm their latest subject.
So we're just going to put this kind of like at your bra line here. We're going to measure heart rate.
The team is sending me into a humid room where the temperature is set to more than 40 degrees.
I'm going to put a 3-lead electrocardiogram. Okay.
So these are ECG pads.
First, I'm getting covered in sensors to monitor all my vital signs.
And this is just to kind of collect like overall skin temperature.
Next, a temperature check.
37.0.
Then it's time to step on a scale.
So this is where we're starting, and we're gonna look at my weight after just to see how much water weight I've lost in that extreme heat and humidity. So let's see. Woo! It's definitely hot, I would say.
Into the chamber I go.
So this is the temperature right now and the humidity. So that's what we're dealing with right now. I'm gonna be running in this.
For 20 long minutes.
We're starting in 3, 2, 1, go.
I can feel my heart rate go up quickly.
With the skin temperature sensors already telling your brain, hey, I'm going to be warm, you need to start getting rid of heat. So your sweat glands are going to start working to try to get water onto your skin.
But with so much moisture in this room, my sweat can't evaporate, so my body can't cool down.
That's why when there's a sudden heat wave, that's the biggest risk of these cardiovascular events, these heart attacks, hospital admissions, because people are not adapted to heat and they're just suffering from being in those hot environments. Okay, you can straddle the treadmill.
Finally, my run is done.
All right, you put me through my paces. And this air feels so refreshing. 144.8.
I lost more than a pound in water weight.
38.6.
And even my body's core temperature went up.
Okay, I'm not gonna lie, that was hot.
You're not in a dangerous zone yet, but you're definitely in a hot zone in terms of your core body temperature.
What's scary is that extreme heat can impact your whole body from head to toe.
You may be thinking less clearly, you may be dehydrated, so therefore your heart is working harder.
Chung says if you can't cool down quickly,
you can actually have risk of heat stroke, which is where you have so much heat built up in you that you are really cooking yourself.
Lauren, that looked tough. How did you feel after?
I'll be honest with you. It started off okay, but by the end of 20 minutes running in that heat and humidity, I felt a little bit woozy. And I'm a runner. I've run outside before, but this was different, that kind of extreme heat. So we obviously don't recommend that anyone goes trying that, working out in that sort of weather. But people are out and about all the time. You have workers working in that sort of heat, and that's where you can really see those impacts on the body.
So Lauren, if people start to feel sick in the heat, what can they do to avoid the worst case scenario?
Well, the researchers I spoke to say cool down as quickly as possible. And the way to do that is through water. So a cold shower or getting into an icy bath. If those aren't options, you can even wet towels and wrap them around your body to cool down as quickly as you possibly can. But if that doesn't work, if you don't do that fast enough, that's when you can have those really serious or even deadly health impacts.
Good advice. Lauren Pelly, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, across Canada, people say they are really feeling the heat, especially in their homes. The CBC News investigative unit wanted to find out just how hot, so they installed 50 temperature sensors in 50 homes in 5 cities across Canada. It's the first test of its kind ever done by Canadian journalists. Ali Pitarg takes us through the project.
The heat, the humidity is sweltering.
Sweltering heat today. There's been a heat warning.
Heat warning has been issued by the health unit.
Think summer heat, and maybe it's sizzling pavement and blinding sun that come to mind. But for some, the worst time of day is when the sun goes down, but the heat doesn't.
When your apartment becomes too hot, your body starts to break down. That's not good for people.
Trapped in stifling apartments and houses. No air conditioning and no escape.
Air conditioning should be right for everyone. It is essential.
This was the nightmare scenario. Summer 2021, a heat dome over BC. More than 600 people died, most inside homes without proper cooling systems.
I'm scared and I'm afraid that could be a repeat.
The World Health Organization says homes should not be above 24 degrees at night. So we want to know just how hot is it getting across Canada?
3 people in the building passed. It was so hot.
To find out, we bought these precision heat and humidity sensors.
This is ready to go.
Last month, we tested them out. Then we installed them. To set them up, our journalists went to 50 apartments in 5 different cities across the country. We will be tracking the temperature all summer.
It gets to the point where, some nights I might only get 4 hours of sleep.
Wow.
The results are already shocking.
Is this for real? Speaking is one thing, but when you actually see the proof of it, it's alarming.
So how do we make our homes and cities safer? It starts with the facts. We'll be gathering the data all summer.
It's like 10 p.m. at night. The temperature is 31 Celsius.
As people endure extreme heat at home.
Hopefully it won't get too much hotter.
Urban Heat, a CBC series coming at you.
Now, we know the temperature can change quickly, and that's true for many forms of extreme weather. If you want to know what's happening in your community, you can head to the CBC News Climate Dashboard. It has up-to-date information on all things climate-related. That's at cbc.ca/climate. Next, a leap of faith from 20 meters up. Canada's women making diving history in our moment.
O'Callaghan inching ahead. It's going to be O'Callaghan gold, Tetna's silver.
Canada's Summer McIntosh claimed bronze at the World Aquatics Championships, setting a new Canadian and world junior record in the 200-meter freestyle. Australia's Molly O'Callaghan won in a new world record. The 16-year-old McIntosh is set to chase medals in 2 more individual events. And this is Canada's Jessica McCauley, gracefully flying through the air during the women's high diving finals in Japan this week. In her very last World Championship before retiring, she was one of 2 women to bring home Canada's first ever medals in the event. The historic moment is our moment.
Jessica McCauley, Molly Carlson, the first ever medals for Canada in high diving.
What a moment. Canada's been working so hard in this sport and making it a sport. Our federation has built platforms and made it possible for us to train back home in Canada, all for moments like this. When I stand on that platform, I'm exactly who I want to be. So it's such an exciting moment. Incredible! And to share it with my teammate Jessica McCauley is so magical.
Oh, what a finish! It's even more special
special knowing that this will be your last World Championships?
It feels amazing. I'm really happy to stand up there on that podium and represent Canada. Let's go!
Woo! Whoever's watching this, try to find who you are and love yourself so then you can stand on that podium too.
Incredible. Now that tower is about 20 meters high. Now I live on the 11th floor of an apartment building and just looking over makes my knees weak. Now Carlson has 3.5 million viewers on her TikTok. And if you'd like to learn more about high diving, check her out. She is also very open about her challenges with anxiety on that account. Great stuff. Well, that's the National for July 26th. Have a good night.